And we're live, Tammy. And good
Hi.
afternoon, and welcome to Dojo Live, connecting with experts like you. My
Well,
name is
thank
Carlos. Yeah, and my name is Carlos Ponce, and I'm broadcasting live from Nearsoft's Mexico City office. And joining us today is Tammy Sorrento. She is the founder of FireballApproves. She'll
you.
tell you all about it in a minute. Welcome to the show, Tammy.
Thank you so much for having me, Carlos.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. Okay, so Tammy, I understand that today's topic, today's the name for today's interviews is disrupting the disruptors. How to
Yes,
avoid getting burned when you rent, buy, or hire, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Tammy, before we get into the subject matter of today's interview, I would simply like to start by asking you to, can you tell us a little bit about you, about yourself, and then of course about Fireball Approves, and then we
Sure.
can move on to today's subject matter of this interview.
You betcha. Carlos, I am an insurance professional, and I came across this situation as a consumer last year. I was looking for a vacation rental for my family, my brothers, my sisters, my grandchildren. So we had a lot traveling with us. And you really can't stay at a hotel when you have that many people, and we're spread out. So we wanted to get a house in Key West, Florida. Being an insurance professional, I felt pretty confident that I would be able to sniff out the uh, fraud because
Hmm.
I know it's rampant. Um, but I found one that would have been really good for us. And as I was in contact with the advertiser, I explained that I just wanted to know that I was actually dealing with the owner. And I did all of my research, my background research that I could, but I just could not link that I was actually in contact with the owner of the property. So when it came to do the deposit, I said, you know what, there's too many red flags. I can't be stuck in Key West, and especially my four grandchildren under the age of 10, that would have been horrific. So I told the advertiser, you know what, I just can't pull the trigger because I don't know that you are truly the owner. And he offered to send me some um, invoices, some recommendations from others that had used that house. Well, there were no phone numbers on these invoices that looked just like mine and it looked very professional. I Googled, I got a phone number for one of them. And it's such a remarkable story because when I contacted this customer, she said, why in the world would he have given me as a reference? She said, I flew down from Chicago, her husband and her, over New Year's Eve weekend. And do you know that it was a scam? They were stuck in Key West.
Hmm.
So at that time, I was thinking, you know what? And I've heard the news stories, as I'm sure you have. People going to these homes that they have rented online, regardless of the duration. It could also be a 6 month rental or a year rental. Someone's transferring from one city to the next. So they can't actually go and meet someone at the house. When I started this, it seemed like these stories were just coming out of the woodwork. People saying, yeah, that happened to me or that happened to my family member, um, which really gave me an idea because in the insurance industry, we use tools to skip trace to find people. So then I got to thinking, well, why can't we use these tools for the general public? So I contacted, even though I can't say the name of the companies that I use, I contacted them and gave them, told them what I wanted to do and what I wanted to use it for. And it was like a light went on and they said, why aren't we doing this already? So what I do is I make sure that the person that my customer is in touch with, I verify that that person, and this includes, and this is why I am unique, is this includes the email and the phone number. And I make sure that that is tied to that house and to the owner. So I keep people from getting burned when they rent a home, when they buy a vehicle. I also make sure that that vehicle wasn't stolen. And once again, that they're dealing with the owner of the vehicle. I also do this for businesses. So if any of my customers are, let's saying they're hiring a roofing contractor, I make sure that that contractor is licensed and insured.
Okay.
Which is something that is needed these days, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thank you for that, Tammy. That was a nice intro, and of course, this is when I would like to move on specifically to today's topic, which is, I mean, when I saw I mean the name that you had chosen for the topic, and I kind of liked it because I resonate with these types of terms, disrupting the disruptors.
Yes. When you think about the disruptors, I am talking about mainly home sharing, because when I was in this situation last year, this is something I wanted. I kept on thinking, why can't I contact someone and make sure that this person is who they say they are? Because you know what? Anyone can be on the other side of the screen. So how do you know? So I am disrupting disruptors, because when you do use, and I'm not going to use their names, but the large online reservation sites, you're paying a service fee for that. You're paying 12% of your rental as a service fee. And this is for the renters. So I'm disrupting that.
I see.
$19. If it's someone that we have not vetted yet, we can vet that homeowner for $19. If you're renting a home for $2,000, what is 12% of that? That's a service fee. So it's you can't even compare the two, because $19 is nothing for added assurance. And that's what we're doing. We're just assuring that you're dealing with the owner. The same thing with now, when I started this business, it was mainly for renters. But then I got to thinking, hey, what about the rental owners? So I developed a program where they can get pre-vetted with us, and they're actually Fireball approved. So we make sure that they are the owner. They have our seal of approval. They can advertise anywhere they want. We also advertise for them on social media. And that is a twofold. We're helping the renters and we're also helping the homeowners, because do you know what the charge is to list a home on a home sharing website? $500 to start off, and then every rental is 3% commission.
Okay.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So that's why I'm disrupting the disruptors. I would say that the online reservation sites are the disruptors. But you know what? I can make sure that you're dealing with the true homeowner and for a lot less.
Okay. Okay. You know what? As I was listening to you, and you mentioned the uh, the online part, the online
Yeah, the
booking
online
part.
reservation
Online.
sites.
Exactly. There's something that kind of leads me towards my following question.
Yes.
I cannot help since you're dealing for the correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Yep.
But since I believe that are dealing, you're necessarily dealing with sensitive information that is could be some sort of database or some other platform. So this is where the technology side comes into play. So my question to you is, when you're thinking of when you're using this sensitive information, have do and have you had any kind of security challenges? So in order to make sure that the information that you use is accurate, or let's put it this way: what kind of challenges have you overcome in terms of security or accuracy that you have had to overcome?
Excellent, excellent point. Once again, my four areas of expertise is the ownership. So it's the name of the owner,
Hmm.
the property address, and that's generally the vacation rental, and the email and the phone number. Now, that's not private information. You can find that on anyone. So even when a property owner comes to us and says, we want to be Fireball approved, we want your seal of approval, Carlos, we do not request sensitive information. What we're doing is verifying the property address and that they own it. As a matter of fact, when they send in their documents to us, we request that they redact any personal information. I only want the name, so the owner's name, the property address, the phone, and the email. That's it. I don't want a birth date. I don't want social security number. I don't want driver's license number. That's not the business I'm in. I am confirming that they own that vacation rental property.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. Appreciate that. And
Mhm.
that just give me a minute, please. And I'd like to just pause for 1 second to remind the audience that if you're watching this and if you have questions for Tammy, you can send us your questions on Twitter, and the handle is right here at DojoLIVE. Very
Yeah.
simple. So just send us your questions for Tammy right here on DojoLIVE. We'll just read them back to Tammy. She'll respond while we're doing the broadcast, or further down the road in our on the landing page, on today's episode landing page. Okay, with that being said, here the next thing I would like to ask you, Tammy, is well, let's put it this way: people who are trying to take advantage of others they're very clever. They're very innovative, and they're kind of always looking for new ways to gain customer trust. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yes.
How is FireballApproves preparing to be always on top of this?
Well, we're going to evolve just like they evolve. And we hear firsthand their new tricks and their new schemes. I can tell you that I hear frequently, daily, of situations where someone has fallen in this trap. And generally, it starts with, I wish I would have known you were out there before I agreed to this transaction, and now I'm out 1,000 because I sent in my deposit for a rental. And like I said, the duration does not matter. It can be a vacation rental, it can be a long-term rental. Um, But anytime you're dealing with someone that you don't know personally, that's when you need to check with us. And just yesterday, I received a message saying, I wish I would have known about you 2 weeks earlier
Hmm.
because I was scammed online. And that breaks my heart. And if there's a way that I can change that, I'm going to do it.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people who's going to be telling you kind of the same things. I wish I had known you,
Mm-hmm.
like yesterday.
Right. No one knows to look for us because no one else is doing this.
Cool. So you're definitely spearheading this initiative, and I mean in the industry. So we're going to keep an eye on that, Tammy. Definitely. Okay. The next thing I have for you is, well, let's put it this way: Fireball approves started protecting people,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Interested in renting a house, and now you have grown to construction, car rentals.
Yes.
What
Yes.
other industries do you see in the future for Fireball? What other verticals? What other segments?
Well, without giving it away too much, because I do have some markets that I'm working at right now.
Hmm.
One is going to be for the actual vacation owner, the rental owner. They want to know who's coming. They want to have a tool to be able to know that the person that's coming to stay in their investment property, um, doesn't have a criminal background
Hmm.
or what have you. So that I'm working at right now. And I also see a use for this with commercial transportation. Once again, it's a high risk, high commodity. If, and this is because I have a commercial transportation insurance background, when someone goes to pick up a load of household goods, whatever the shipment is, this is another way that imposters come and pick up that load. And since it wasn't due to the next state, for 2 days, the shipper doesn't even know that they have been a victim of a theft.
Hmm.
So that's something that's in the pipelines.
Hmm. Okay.
So there are so many. And if you're wondering why Fireball approves, that really doesn't tell you what I do. But I am Fireball.
Oh, okay.
I make sure that someone's not going to get burned.
Okay.
And I purposely am building my brand because I can go in so many different areas. That's the reason I did that. If I, named myself Vacation Rental Verifications, you would know what I'm about, but then I would be stuck. And that's why I went the route that I did because there are so many areas that I think needs protection.
Okay. And it all started out of something that happened to you, right, Tammy?
Yes. I
Would you mind
was
telling
actually
us?
a victim because I, did not lose any money.
Uh
And
huh.
here's something that I learned through this experience. When I spoke to the victim that did travel down to the same location that I wanted to go, I asked her, well, did you get reimbursement? She said, I used PayPal. I felt protected using PayPal. I used my credit card. I thought that I was going to get, that I would have a form of protection. Well, then when it came to filing her claim, they delayed the payment because they considered that person to person and not person to business. So it took her longer to receive her money back. So here she is. She spent money on a rental. She traveled down there. She's stranded over New Year's Eve weekend, so she had to pay for that. Then she had to wait about 6 months to be reimbursed. I don't know a lot of people that could have handled that financially.
No, no. Especially if the amount of money is significant, and
Right.
yeah, I can totally understand that. And I would like to ask you, Tammy, specifically, would you mind telling us and the audience how does Fireball Approves work? What is the first step? Okay, of course we can always find your website, which it's
Yes.
fireballapproves.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be by the way, folks, we're going to be sharing all the info, all the contact info for Tammy and for her company uh, in a minute. And of course, it's going to be also on the website. So just keep an eye for that. No worries. We'll tell you all about it. So, Tammy, how does Fireball Approves work? What do we need to do?
Okay. I am once again, I'm not looking for personal information. So if someone sends us an inquiry on a property that they want to transact, they want to rent, then the person that is submitting the inquiry, all I need is their name and email address. Then for your best results, because I was there, so I know,
Hmm.
is I'm looking for the name of the advertiser, the property address, the email, and the phone number. Now, I can do it with just the phone number, I can do it with just the email, but for the best product to protect you would be those four pieces of information. And this has proven vital because we had a case 2 weeks ago where someone was trying to rent a home, and it was a long term rental, and it was a foreclosed home, and the advertiser was not associated with that address whatsoever. So I had that posting removed from Craigslist. The problem is that they could go right back and post it again.
Hmm.
However, I did have that one taken down. Another one in California, we contacted the homeowner and she said, we are in our house. We have had no plans to rent this house. So someone had taken their information and set up an advertisement hoping to get money for nothing.
Hmm. Okay. So there's a lot of con artists out there, and
Oh,
yeah, and I think I've seen similar schemes, so to speak, in other. I'm not going to mention any names, but I've seen it
right.
in other reservation online platforms,
Yes. Yes.
and yeah, and it's we usually need to be on the lookout and very aware of what seems phony and what doesn't.
Right.
But again, if we have something like Fireball Approves, then it's definitely going to be something that many of us are going to be wanting to look into or just have at hand. Okay, Tammy, we're approaching the final segment of today's
Okay.
interview. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so what I would like to do is, well, actually, I would like to turn on the mic to you. And is there anything you would like to leave our audience with about Fireball Approves and about online security, and personal security while conducting online transactions? Anything at all? The mic's all yours. So please,
Beautiful.
by all
I do
means.
want to mention while we were going through this situation that prompted the start of Fireball Approves, an array of emotions. Because when you're not sure who is on the other side of the computer, who you're conversing with, you can think, wow, what if I say no because of red flags? But what if it really is a good, what if I am in contact with the owner? So that's how they get you. They get you when you're vulnerable. Usually when it's a last minute. You've already exhausted every other location in the area. It's a popular time to travel. You waited, plans changed, you waited. That's when you are the most vulnerable. So for the public out there, please be careful. Um, it's it's something that people are making livings off of taking money and imposing as someone else entirely. And you can go to FireballApproves.com. We will let you know if you are in contact. And that's the difference. Most states, you can look at public records to see who the owner is of a home. But once again, everyone can look at public records.
Mm-hmm.
So the con artist can look at the public records and say, I am John Doe and I own this property. So without verifying the phone and the email, you're kind of in the dark.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so if anyone out there wishes to either know more about Fireball Approves or how, if they want to get in touch with you, how do they go about it?
Our email address is info@fireballapproves.com.
Okay.
And we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So, folks, here it is. You can, here's right here at
Yes.
the bottom. You can see the URL to Fireball Approves, which is fireballapproves.com.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is the email where you can reach out to Tammy as well. info@fireballapproves.com. There you're going to have it. Oh, by the way, if I didn't mention it before, I'd like to remind the audience that the reach and the scope of the broadcast is not going to end with the broadcast itself. You can watch it at a later time right here on DojoLIVE, dojo.nearsoft.com. And, well, Tammy, the only thing left for me, I mean, I'm sure more questions are going to pop up into my head. It always happens to me, like when we're done, and then I keep thinking, hey, what about this? And I should have asked this and this and that, right? So I think it happens to a lot of us, but our time is limited. So what I would like to do is to send you a big, warm, heartfelt thank you for having been with us today, and of course our also to our audience for watching us. And that's going to be pretty much it, Tammy. We look forward to keeping an eye on Fireball Approves and watch it grow exponentially in the years to come. So, anything else that you would like to leave our audience with, Tammy?
Yes, one more thing. You can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. We even list the properties that we vetted that are Fireball approved. They are listed under our Facebook group. So for everyone that is listening or will hear this later, the number one thing that we need is for you to share our information, because once again, people don't know to look for us if they don't know that we're a possibility.
Exactly. Well said, Tammy. I appreciate it so much. And by the way, Tammy, we're about to go off the air. I'm going to ask you to stick around for a couple of minutes when we go off the air. And for the rest of you who are watching this, again, thank you for having been with us today in one more episode of Dojo Live. Actually, it's the second episode of season 5. And please keep an eye for upcoming ones. And let me tell you while we're here, who's going to be joining us next week. Next week, we're going to have, this is going to be about travel technology. We're going to have Steve Milo, CEO at vtrips.com.
Nice.
And we're going to be talking about technology-enabled property management lodging platforms. Okay, so that should be cool because we're also in travel tech. So just keep an eye on our upcoming interviews, dojo.nearsoft.com. And again, thank you so much. This is Carlos Ponce, broadcasting live from Mexico City. You have a wonderful rest of the day, folks. Until next week.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Tammy. Bye.